Hello, everyone. I would like to begin with Chapter 11 with factoring trinomials, and we're going to begin with Section 11.1. I just want to do a recap as you received an announcement message that stated that there's a video on factoring that I would like for everyone to participate and view. Once you basically take notes, look at that video, then you can move forward and practice those techniques regarding factoring. I plan to do a recap in this video clip, and then I plan to introduce 11.2 with factoring trinomials, and I also have an additional video that I will attach for more practice with factoring trinomials. All right, just to recap, section 11.1 with the directions to factor. So model A states x squared plus xy plus x plus y. So there we can identify that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms that we're gonna work with regarding factoring. So here, hopefully you were able to find the various techniques from the first section, which dealt with greatest common factor, factor by grouping. Also, we dealt with greatest common factor, factoring of a negative. So we're going to now practice those techniques or recap on those techniques. And hopefully you can identify in model A, x squared plus xy plus x plus y, that we have 4 terms. So the first order of business is to let's separate these in group of 2s. So whenever you have 4 terms, you just want to break it down and separate these in groups of 2s. So that's what we're mainly doing here. So once I separate these in groups of 2s, now I can move and factor according to the GCF. So when I look at the terms x squared, and when I look at the term x, what will I show as my GCF? Well, we can identify that it will be x. So I'm able to pull an x out here and an x here. So once that occur, I know with my first term, once the x's cancel out, I'm left with an x. Once again, in the second term, xy, once I divide that by the x, I'm left with the y. And so technically in my second term, I see in my second group of parentheses that my second binomial would simply be x plus y. Now, if you did watch my previous video, I kind of like to come up with cute catches and phrases. So what I stated was that you need to apply the new one times the repeated one, okay? So the first binomial will be created from the new fresh terms that we have. So we will identify that. And here we will have the repeated one, which I will just abbreviate that RO, okay? So that stands for the repeated one. So when I simplify my repeated one, well, what's repeating? We see x plus y, x plus y. So my repeated one will simply be x plus y. Then what do I occur as the new one? Here I have x, and what's in imaginary is 1. So I have x plus 1. So there I'm able to see that x plus 1 times x plus y is my final answer with factoring by grouping. Model B shows 10x squared minus, 10x squared y minus 25xy. Once again, the direction that's asking us to factor. So what will occur here is that one or two things. I first will break down my terms. What terms do I have? I have 10, 25. Okay, those are my numbers. What about the x terms? What do I have? X squared and then I show X, okay? Then what do I show lastly is Y, and in the second monomial, I have a Y, okay? So what will be mainly out of 10 and 25? The process will be what can the highest number I can divide by both. And hopefully you do see that that will be 5. So I will divide 10 by 5, and then I will divide 25 by 5, okay? So I know that I'm pulling a 5 out of my term. All right. So what do we show out of X and X squared? Well, they at least have an X. So I know that I'm pulling an X out of each term. X and an X. Okay. And then Y and Y, I'm pulling out a Y. And I'll do another parentheses here. So what do I understand? Well, if I divide 5 into 10, that leaves me with 2. Okay, that goes in the parentheses. Here, applying the quotient rule of X and X squared, I'm left with an X. Okay. And then here, when I basically pull out a Y, that does cancel out. So we have 5X, Y times 2x. Okay, let's continue the process. There again, what will I notice? That I can divide 5 into 25. Bring down the minus, and there I show 5. Once again, what do I observe? X and X, that cancels out. And there again, I pull out that Y, and that cancels out. So the only thing I'm left with is 5. So there's my final answer. 5xy times 2x minus 5. Final answer. All right, as we continue the process, now moving to 11.2. Now, I would like for you to pause if you have not reviewed the previous video on 11.2 with factoring. That again is going to be located in the announcements under factoring introduction of 11.2. So I would like for you to take a moment, review that, review the chart, review the C chart technique that I personally came up with, that I think will kind of be productive until you can get to a good mental place to factor mentally, to understand the thought process by using the C chart. Because what I'm about to do for Model C is I'm about to just work the C chart, but if you go back to the introduction, it will give you a better understanding of the C chart. So that again will be uploaded in your announcements under 11.2 introduction video clip. Okay. However, let's look at I'm sorry. Okay. Let's look at x squared plus 8x plus 12 as our C model, okay? Now, what we can demonstrate is that we can see from the model ax squared, okay, plus bx plus c is highlighted here as shown. So for me to begin the process, I can begin my C chart by identifying that my C is equal to 12, okay? So with the C chart, my main concerns is to determine what two numbers, when I multiply, will give me 12, all right? And then on the right-hand side of that will become my BX. And when I look at my BX is equal to a positive 8x. So as we recall the process, what I'm trying to determine out of the C chart, what two numbers make 12? Well, we know 4 times 3, okay? We also can continue, we know what else make 12? 2 times 6, okay? Then, of course, 12 times 1, okay? Now, here with bx equals 8x, a positive 8x, now here's the other process that we look at, okay? When we look at bx, we look at the adding side of it as well as the subtraction side of it. And we base it upon the two numbers that we have here for c. So when I think about the adding of the two numbers for c, 4 plus 3, does that equal to my bx? No, that equals to equal to 7. So that's not working. And then, of course, if I do the subtraction side of that, we know that is equal to 1. So 4 and 3 is not a match for model C. Let's continue the process. 2 and 6. Let's add that side. If I add 2 plus 6, once again, what do I observe? 2 plus 6, that does give me 8, where, of course, 6 minus 2 will give me 4. And what I'm looking for is 8. And because I know 2 is positive, 6 is positive, that is what I'm looking for to give me 8. So because that checks off of my BX, I have now found how I will factor this trinomial. So what will give me x squared? X times x. And once again, because it's ax squared plus bx plus c, I do know that both of my binomials, when I factor, would be two positives because of its layout, okay? So I know that x plus, then what are my two c's? X plus 2 times x plus 6. And that's my final answer using the C chart. So that's how the C chart works. Model D, x squared minus 6x minus 27. Here again, piggybacking from the introduction video, here I'm just rewriting the layout of how factoring trinomials, how the layout will look, and how we can then simplify and process. So given that model D is shown as ax squared in this model, instead of plus bx, we got minus bx. And instead of plus c, we now have minus c. But here, according to my checklist, you can see as to how the breakdown would be given such. So plus ax squared plus bx minus c plus minus ax squared minus bx plus minus. So given the layout ax squared minus bx minus c, we do agree that it will be plus and minus. And the last one that we don't show is simply ax squared minus bx. And what's the last one that we haven't done? Plus c. And that will come out, guess what? The only term we have left is simply minus minus. So that's how that will look. But however, let's go ahead and continue the process with the C chart, because what we realize our C will turn into, here it will become a negative 27. Okay, so we realize C here will be a negative 27. Going to my BX will turn into a negative 6x. Okay. So what I realize here is that 9 times 3 is what will give me 27, okay? For the BX, we realize Again, the adding piece, subtraction piece. Well, we know we add 9 plus 3. That result will be 12. That's not a number I need. I am looking for a 6, a negative 6 at that. And then if I look at the subtraction side, 9 minus 3, guess what? I get the number 6, but I need for it to become a negative 6, which is no issue because what does that mean? That the larger C will carry the sign each and every time. So that means that my 9 will be negative while my 3 will turn into a positive. So that allows me to get negative 9 times a positive 3 as the result of a negative 27. So now I do have my C's, so I can complete my factoring. Again, X and X for my first term for X squared, and they're plus, so what fits for plus? X plus 3 times what for minus times X minus 9. Final answer. Now we can multiply this out, guys, and this will give us and tell us if we're correct because we will come back to x squared minus 6x minus 27. I hope this was helpful. I hope that it kind of brought everything back to understanding the C chart much better. But again, please practice, rerun, rework, work again until it click. It is okay to rework the same problem over and over again. Thank you for your time. Please reach out, inbox me as needed. Have a good day. Take care. Goodbye.